Hi, I'm Phil Malto and welcome to Snowmobiler Television. In the last few weeks we've been to Northern Quebec, Revelstoke, BC, and today I'm in Ontario to try out our Polaris Switchback 60th Anniversary 800 HO and our Yamaha STX.
STV is sponsored by Yamaha, revs your heart. Kimpex, fueled by fun. And by Skidoo, never stop pushing.
This year in our Snowgoer Canada Snowmobiler television fleet, we've got a 2015 Yamaha STX, and there's a few things about this sled I really like. There are a lot of things I like on this Viper. Of course, when you're talking Yamaha, so many people love to talk about the engine. The engine is flawless, it runs great, there's never a hiccup. But with the rest of this chassis, it's one incredible package. The long track is smooth and hooks up well. The front end is super smooth. It's a great cornering sled and it can take the rough stuff as well. Four strokes have been around for quite a while. One of the problems has been the positive and negative momentum of the extra weight. Well, this Viper, it handles it really well. The shocks on the front work with the skid frame in the back. There's no more rodeo riding with this baby. This thing travels straight all the time. Over the flat trails, through the moguls, it's a flat, level ride that's always consistent. Back here in Ontario, on a rough trail section, it was the suspension that really showed me what this sled can do. In the smaller divots, and in the big stuff, and in the doubles, this sled could really hold its own. There was no bottoming out and no kicks. It was just straight up, hit the drifts hard, hit the bumps hard, and this sled would really respond well. Another item that Yamaha added for us was knee pads. I really like these things. For cornering, you can snug right in there for some aggressive cornering, and if you're hitting the moguls, extra padding for the knees. And my 51-year-old knees, they really appreciate that. People who've ridden with me, especially on tours, know one thing. I like a tall windshield. I don't like getting cold, I get a lot of frostbite, and I stick my head out in the wind a lot for these contour cameras to get the best pictures possible, so I like a tall windshield that I can hide behind. I never used to think that a heated seat was really that big a deal until I started riding with the one on this Viper. At -30, it's so nice to be traveling along and hit a little bit of warmth. Another feature of this Viper is the easily accessible hand grips. I love the thumb and I love the way you can split these two up so easily when you're driving. Hands are a little too cold, throw on a little bit more heat. If the hand grips are too hot, you back them up. It's so easy on the fly, day or night, to adjust your hand grips. I love that idea. Since 2003, it's the rear skid frames on the Yamahas that have really got my attention. From the RX-1 to the Warrior package back in 2003, 2004 to today's sled, the rear skid has always been a bit of a challenge. Ever since Yamaha introduced 4-stroke technology in the RX-1 package back in 2003, getting that power to hook up on the snow has always been a bit of a challenge, almost a bit of a dilemma if you will. With the Warrior package, it was pretty evident that these 4-strokes like a longer track to bite and hang on in the snow. Acceleration, braking, handling, corner, and the bumps have always responded better with a longer skid frame in these Yamahas. This is very true with this Viper package. With this longer skid frame, it really handles well. It accelerates well, it brakes well, and it handles the bumps much better with this longer skid frame. It really holds this whole suspension kit together, so when you're aggressive cornering, aggressive braking, over the moguls, it holds everything exactly where you want, making this one great Viper package. Over the last 15 years, Polaris has made a real commitment to building a high-end, high-caliber, top-notch suspension system. And now, in 2015, they've really nailed it with the Axis setup. With the introduction of the 60th Anniversary Edition 800 HO Switchback, Polaris has really upped the game. The changed telemetry and design of this suspension, along with the Walker-Evans shocks, has really brought this sled to the forefront. In the rough stuff, this sled is just simply incredible. There's no kick, there's no flattening out, there's nothing but an incredible ride. The shocks, the suspension layout, it just takes it all in. When the snowmobile is sitting still, the sledder can appreciate the complexity of the design of this model. On the trail, you don't think about the complexity of the design, you just enjoy the phenomenal ride. This long skid frame really takes on the bumps and also helps the sled accelerate, keeping lots of track on the ground at all times. Into the corners, down the straightaway, through the whoops, into the bigger bumps, and back into the corners, this sled is an incredible package that simply does it all. Unlike previous designs, the axis setup is much easier to deal with. There's no more finicky setups. You've got a setup that works for you and you can just keep riding. No longer do you have to get off and keep clicking and adjusting things. Once you've got the sled dialed in, it's just ride, and ride hard. Overall, the sled is incredible, but there's one little thing on the sled that bothers me, and that is, when it goes into reverse, I don't get a beep sound. Now that may not sound big to some people, but for me, I like to know that a sled is in reverse. Even if it's not my sled, I want to know that somebody's actually backing up. So when you switch back and forth, you do get an indicator, but you don't get the beeping sound. And for me, that's peace of mind knowing that my sled or somebody else's sled is about to back up. At Snowmobiler TV, we're really fortunate to have a great working relationship with the folks at Triton Trailers. Top-notch trailers, and here's why. Triton Trailers bring a lot of quality and attributes to the snowmobiling market. When I'm pulling a snowmobile trailer, it's crucial that I have proper visibility around the trailer, and this design is slightly narrower so I can see everybody that's behind me. As you can see, this design delivers clear visibility for the driver when hauling this trailer down the highway. Inside the Triton trailer, here's one of the features I really learned to appreciate over the years, and that is the ability to move this back and forth, to move the sleds back and forth. So if you're moving different sleds, different sizes, simply slide that back and forth, cranks, and the front of the sled is locked into place. Another feature on our Triton trailer I've learned to appreciate is the side door. The side door makes it easy to access the sleds inside the trailer without opening the main door, and also makes it easier for fueling sleds as well. There are so many things about our Triton trailers that I like. I like the lightweight, the easy towing, the great axles and tires. I love the lights. I love the easy loading mechanisms. There are so many things that make Triton the #1 trailer. Today we're in a basement, not just any basement, we're in a legendary basement full of motorcycles and snowmobile memorabilia because we're talking to multi-champion Yvon Duhamel. He's raced Kawasaki motorcycles and he's a Skidoo racing legend, and we're in his basement. Yvon, I gotta ask you, first of all, what was it like racing in '69 to the early '70s on those big banked oval snow tracks?
Well, myself, I like it because I was doing good, and those big banking, I was about the only one to use it, so it was less rough, and it was I could do more speed because it was less bumpy.
You're a champion in speed runs. You were the fastest guy in a straightaway. You won the I-500 in cross country, and you won Eagle River. What was it like to win in all those areas of snowmobile racing for Skidoo?
Well, it was very, very happy and very proud of winning all those races. Especially, I think I'm the only one who won so many races and so many important races. Snowmobile, I was using the bank, in the very high bank. I was the first guy to do that, I believe, and I was making good time, and I was winning a race doing that.
We're in your house. You've got all kinds of snowmobile jackets. You've got all your old helmets. You've also got the only 1974 Skidoo Snow Pro sled. in your garage. What was unique about that sled that you helped design?
Well, yes, I did. The year before, I did some of my idea they use, and then finally they decide to use, like, say, 60%.
You got a lot of weight knocked off that sled. You had them drilling, you had them
Yeah.
putting titanium, you had them moving fuel tank, you had them change the motorcycle grip. You really made that your sled.
Yeah, well, even with the old sled in the 70s, 72, 5, I always wanted to be comfortable. If you want to go fast, you need to be sitting in the right place, having the right handlebar, and having the right seat, and having the right power also, naturally.
I have to say thank you. It's been a real pleasure being in Yvon's basement. He's let us go through all his motorcycle memorabilia, his incredible snowmobile memorabilia, showed us his 74 Snow Pro. It's been a really great afternoon spending the time here with Yvon in his basement. Yvon Duhamel, thank you very much for a great afternoon, my friend.
Thank you, and don't forget to send me my magazine.
Visiting with Yvon Duhamel was an amazing experience and an incredible history lesson, and that history lesson continues as I move on to a place I call the Polaris Barn. Inside this barn, there are parts for every type of model that Polaris made. Hoods, bumpers, steering columns, suspension pieces, and more can be found in rows and in piles. You name a model, and the hood for that sled is here, somewhere. For Polaris vintage fans, this is like sacred ground. I find it somehow necessary to wear my vintage Polaris coat when I tour this place. In the upper level, I am in awe. Where do I begin? Row upon row of classic Polaris history is here. Under a cloth layer or layer of dust are classic sleds that could be fueled up and taken for a ride. I remember so many of these models from my younger years, what I would have given to have a TX or a TXL in my garage. Polaris made some fantastic performance sleds in the 70s, but they also made great family sleds like the Cobra and the Colt, and they are all here. Among the many complete sleds are incomplete sleds and part sleds too. A vintage Polaris fan could do a project build here by picking out a chassis, a hood, an engine, a couple Mikuni carbs, and a Polaris clutch. Polaris developed many innovations over the years, and they can be found in this location. The engines, clutches, and suspensions that they built are all found under this steel roof. I'm a huge fan of free air and liquid-cooled sleds of the 70s, and in this barn, time is well documented. The styling of the sleds is reflective of the simplicity in those years. Disconnect a fuel line and 4 bolts, and the engine could be removed in less than 15 minutes. The hoods were very open to allow airflow over the large cooling fins of the freer engines. A dual bulb headlight system was popular back then, but with the low wattage output of the time, there was not a lot of brightness to gain. A few steps away from the 70s, and I find myself looking over the transformation that seemed to happen in the blink of an eye. Liquid cooling created more horsepower, and the jump in performance led to the development of consumer independent front suspensions. The term IFS became commonplace on consumer sleds, and that was the backbone of the success of the Polaris Indies. Launched around 1980, this nameplate was the plateau that other OEMs chased for many years. With a few different engine combinations and a few design changes, the Indy kept Polaris out front for many years. The Polaris Barn provides an incredible journey through time. All snowmobilers can appreciate the history lesson and the trip back in time that this hidden location offers. Ironically, for vintage enthusiasts like me, it is a place that only a few can view, for this is, after all, a secret location.
So last night, it was about 2:30 in the morning, and we were all wearing good gear, but we were cold and wet and absolutely wore out. Our eyeballs were all doing funny things, and we'd stop and everybody'd say, "I'm falling asleep, I'm falling off the machine." And so we knew where there was a cabin. So we all headed down the lake to the cabin, and when we got there, the Canadian Rangers were there. So there was about 18 of us in a 10 by 10 shed and a little wood stove, and it was about 1,000,000 degrees in there. And so we all got in there, and Jason there, he was asleep in about 3 seconds. And we all started falling asleep, and literally we were laying everywhere we could. We were laying all over the floor. Supposedly I woke up and I was using Joshua Newy's butt for a pillow. So we slept there till about 6:30, 7 o'clock. Woke up, had some tea and some water, and then off we went.
Hitting Postville meant racers had successfully completed 1,900 kilometers of the challenge and were just past the halfway point. Checking in with the command center, it was easy to see that race officials were being kept busy.
This race has been very exciting, to say the least. We've had some minor glitches along the way, but everything is sort of sorted out. One of the things there, like a lot of the racers were missing the checkpoints and having to backtrack 30, 40 kilometers, but seems like they're getting it all in control, and right now the race is looking excellent.
The race to checkpoints 12, 13, and 14 through the Nunatsiavik villages of Makovic, Hopedale, and Notwashish saw Team 38 rocking through with a huge lead and other teams fighting the weather and fatigue as they opted to take some of their layover time at various places on the north coast. Strategy seemed to be boiled down to, let's sleep if we want to, otherwise keep it going. Unfortunately for Mark Nui of Team 29, a crowd favorite and super nice guy, some nasty luck would end his race and then some.
And I hit a patch of ice or icy surface, and there was a bump there, and before I hit the bump, I was turning the rear end of my skidoo was to right, and I was able to control it by the time I hit the bump, and then I hit the second bump. The front end landed first, and as a result snapped back to the rear end, and that's where it tossed me, and I know I was tossed I don't know, about 20 feet away, and then the scooters come rolling over me and onto my body, and how I broke my foot, I don't know. And I was knocked out for about an hour, and I was told I was walking around where my snowmobile was, and then I don't really remember what happened. I was already at the local clinic in Makovic, and by the time I was starting to come around from I was asked questions, and I was asked if I was going to continue, and obviously I said yes. and then I had no idea I had a broken leg or foot and some scratches all over it. But by the time, like I said, by the time I was regaining some sense into me, I was asked if I should continue. I said yes, and my partner said we're not going. And Perry Dyson, a friend of mine out of Makovic, wait till next race. So I took that and I said, okay, we won't go. Yeah, so I'm gonna take time to heal, and I'm definitely going back in 2016.
I'm Jonathan from Kimpex, and today we're going to be talking about replacement parts. As many of you may know, getting the right part is often the toughest thing in a rebuild. Here at Kimpex, we don't only offer a wide variety of parts going from pistons to ice scratchers, but we also offer a wide variety of services to help you do your rebuild. Our Search by Ride online tool will get you the right part every time. It's an easy online tool available on our website. Just enter your type of vehicle, followed by make, model, and year, and all the parts that fits on your vehicle will be at your fingertips. If you need a specific part that your dealer doesn't have in stock, our dropship services will allow you to order it with your dealer and get it delivered next day to your location to be able to continue your rebuild. Here's an example of the innovation at Kimpex. We took a slider and added a wear bar to indicate when you need to change your sliders. Whenever you go on a ride, you never know what could happen. You always got to be prepared. Here are some products you might want to add to your packing list. No one likes to get stuck, and no one wants to ask their friends to pull them out. But if ever it happens, Snow Bungee offers you a solution to pull you out and even to tow you back. Another must-have in your packing list is this shovel from HMK. This 4-in-1 shovel also includes a compass, an ice pick, and a saw. Even if you're not a mountain rider, everyone should have a shovel like this in your car or in your trailer. If you ride on frozen lakes and rivers, or if you're an ice fisherman, a jacket such as this one might help you. It's a tech float. It will help you float if ever you fall through. And don't forget to combine them with these ice picks, which will help you get out. No matter your make or model of your sled, the most important thing is always carry an extra belt, or else it might put an early end to a fun day.
STV is sponsored by Ultimax Belts. Performance proven, performance driven. Triton Trailers, the difference is in the details. And by CKX, wear your passion.
Thanks for watching this week's show. We appreciate your feedback and your comments. So email me, phil@snowmobilertv.com. And remember also to check out our website for videos and look for us on Facebook and Twitter. On next week's show, we'll be doing more trail riding, more sled evaluating, and we're off to Cain's Quest where somebody runs into a navigational issue. We'll see you next week here on The Snow.